didn't send it to me in the regular application form, Hexy. They sent me like a Word document with pages, and so I've got on my notes just too many to list, because if we would go through that, then I think it would take up too much of our time.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we have them in this, just tournament after tournament, dominant performance after dominant performance. They're definitely going to be a team to look out for as far as possibly winning the entire thing. A ton of hours between all the players there. Unfortunately, my camera seems to be too bright, so I'm going to have to try to fix that real quick. If you want to take the wheel for just a second, I'm going to try to fix my camera.
No worries. Well, whilst you do that, let's talk about what Kanepek is bringing to the table. Team captain Zonzio and is bringing DB as killer, and then the infamous XxS_TrapperMain69_XxX and his pal XxX_LegionMain69_XxX. Two jokers, obviously. They with their perfect names. They are Steam players, by the way. They're capable of changing their name at any point, and they stick with those two names for whatever reason. But Team Kanepek, or Zodzje Kanepek, which means sandwich thieves, I believe, bringing over 22,000 hours into of experience over the last 4 years. They've won their fair share of tournaments featuring highly contested teams as well. So they're definitely no pushovers here, and so almost Agony having a bit of a rough bracket. They have to take out Buenado in the round of 16, where it is single elimination. Now they have to go up against Kanepek as well. I've just got note, Team Kanepek has won the coin toss. They've chosen to play killer. The map has been rolled. It is Torment Creek, and Team Kanepek have opted to play Nurse onto the Torment Creek. We actually saw DB play Nurse last week on Rotten Fields in a 1-point match. It was the difference between them and their opponent's Eternal.
Now, I know most of you guys are probably like, oh, you came in. Oh, no one was going to pick Nurse. These are the people that picked Nurse last week. So let's see what happens with the other killers. These are the same nurses. There was only 2 that happened last week, so I'm curious. A funny thing, too, with Trapper Main 69 and Legion Main 69 is neither of them are the killers. You'd assume. We got DB who's going to be the killer. You would assume Trapper Main or Legion Main would be the killers. But that's going to be interesting. So 2 nurses back-to-back here. I just can't wait to get into it. I'm really a little bit concerned on the nurse pick onto farm maps. I typically don't like the nurse too much onto the farm maps because of a lot of the corn vision. But from what I've been hearing from a lot of the teams that play nurse very regularly is that it's not the end of the world for them typically, as far as like dealing with the loss of vision with the corn. And because we don't have rotten fields in this one, there's less corn to deal with. So maybe a little bit easier for them.
Yeah, Torment Creek really just has 2 sections or 3 sections of the map that are heavily corn infested. The rest of it can be pretty open, and you've got the tree loops as well as the maze tiles as well. This map here is such an interesting one. It gets played so often in various different tournaments, and it really comes down to which side of the map you have your generator spawn on as killer, so that you can lock down an area. If there's 3 or 4 generators over towards the silo, the blimp building, then that's where you want to lock it down. But sometimes that area spawns more closely packed around the killer shack, so you lock it down. Either side of the map, not particularly great for the killer because they've got strong loops either side, but you have to play around the generators as a killer. And so it's all about just reacting to what you're given as quickly as possible, and then trying to I guess, maneuver the survivors into that area.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is something with the patch, but I swear there has been more pallets since this patch that just came out. I'm finding myself just like jungle gym into LT into jungle gym into like single into single, and I'm just like, why is there so many? I don't remember there being this many. Obviously Nurse won't have to deal with the pallets as much as a lot of the normal killers, but I'll be curious if there's some bad RNG that goes down there, because I've been noticing it what feels like more pallets, even though there wasn't anything that was said in the patch notes.
It's one of those things. Behavior can sometimes just stealth them into a patch, I think, and change away around the balancing there. Torment Creek is an interesting one because that central road that goes from the blimp to the killer shack in recent times has like not been spawning any pallets in that road. So I guess that'll be the true tell, is if we see 1 or 2 pallets along that road there heading towards the Killer Shack, then maybe things have been mixed around a little bit. But we'll be finding out. The teams will be finding out as well. They've had a couple of days now to try out the new chapter, experience the new gen animations, the new palettes, all of that kind of stuff, and see if they can get comfortable with what is Chapter 17 in Dead by Daylight.
And by the way, for anyone that is tuning in and maybe you're like, just watching the stream for the first time, you're curious about what's going on with the rules or the add-on bans or scoring, or if you want to see any of the teams' profiles, if you go to hexygang.com, we have on the top right corner where it says tournament, it'll provide all the information you need, all the add-ons, all the rules, the scheduling, the scoring, the teams, and you can kind of follow along. Obviously, we'll be updating the brackets here. I don't know if we could go ahead and showcase the brackets here so we can kind of see what's going on. Again, today is the double elimination day, so teams will have 2 chances before they are completely knocked out. And I wanted to kind of bring that up just so we can kind of see how things are flowing before we get into the match.
I think we will be able to do that potentially after this match, as I've just got note that we are going to be loading into the matchup now versus Agony and Kanepek. It's Torment Creek, and the teams have already selected their killers. Now knowing that it's Torment Creek, we know that it's going to be DB on Nurse, bringing it forward for Kanepek in the first game of this series. We'll have to see exactly how he's able to perform. Rodham Fields was a difficult one for the teams last week. It was only 1 Ks between the 2 teams, 1 kill being able to be secured. Torment Creek, a whole different ball game. These teams are very comfortable on the Torment Creek when it comes to competitive play, and I have to see how DB is able to deal with it.
DB already coming in blinking. He's going to be on the scout here. Another corrupt intervention, choosing to actually run the Shadowborn, which will give him no benefit as far as the generators go. Shadowborn, not a heavily picked perk by a lot of killers here, so you might not know exactly what it does, but it increases the vision. So this is exactly the Nurse's main problem, is finding, and already on to Dr. Rock there. Going to try to make quick work, but that is one of the big things with Nurse, is just finding survivors. So increasing his vision, he's hoping to be a lot more aggressive off the rip here and just get people down ASAP. Also choosing to run the Whispers, which will be highlighted whenever a survivor is in the within their terror radius.
Yeah, it's quite a peculiar build because typically it's gen regression that we see teams bring, even opting to stack it with Hex Ruin and Pop Goes the Weasel for when that totem does get cleansed. Opting in to drop the chase with Dr. Rock and find finger guns here. Potentially that's due to the fact that the generators on this side of the map are more closely contested. Finger gun setting up a line and actually finds it with the firecracker. That's actually...
Oh my God!
Lost.
Yeah, he lost him completely there. He's going to regain his consciousness and his vision and get right back on him, it looks like. Finger Gun's doing an excellent job there. Tries to snap back, but DB is wise and catches Finger Gun. First hook for Team Kanepek.
Look at the perks that Finger Guns has. Camaraderie is a perk that he's running. A very peculiar perk because you almost never see it outside of a Steve doing an adept in regular play, but in competitive it is so powerful. What it does is if a survivor can get within 60 meters of your hook, then it will add 34 seconds to your struggle stage. And so the teams now will most likely opt to leave a player on the hook in their second stage for an extra 34 seconds so that they can just work a generator, pump it out.
Ryan tried to have a little nice juke there by going underneath this the Nurse. Unfortunately, didn't quite work out for him. Finger Gun's going to get hit with the borrowed time, which is going to allow him to tank a hit and still continue running, assuming he can get deep mend. But I think DB has other things in mind, going to keep the chase on Finger Guns. Going to really want to push the pressure there. That seems to be the thing, is kind of just be very, very aggressive on your first kill, because once you get 1 kill in the match, it becomes noticeably easier. And most of these killers choosing to just go ahead with the gamble on the D-Strike, and hoping that they don't hit him with the D-Strike. And even if they do, as a Nurse, you're getting right back into the chase.
So with Dr. Rock being injured as well as Ryan, likely what we'll see is Nightlight be the player who will now go over towards Dr. Rock to try, Finger Guns to try and get within that 60 meters and get the camaraderie. In fact, if you look down in your bottom left corner of your screen, the bar is now flashing. That means that Nightlight has got within the 60 meters and 34 seconds has just been added to this struggle time. So instead of a 60-second stage, He now has 94 seconds until he'll die. And so for this team, you can see Dr. Rock is working a generator. Ryan has just healed. He'll be rotating, and they're going to look to try and at least get 1 or 2 more generators out before rescuing Finger Guns. Ideally, they want to do all 3 generators because Finger Guns has adrenaline, so they can pull him off the hook and he'll be safe. But that is not always the feasibility, especially when the basement is involved.
Yeah, basement, one of the more difficult places to save from. I'm trying to see if he has a solid 3-gen stack near the basement there. It does look like I see him 2 fairly close. It does look like he has a 3-gen stack on the basement. So this is going to be really, really bad for Agony as far as getting this safe. If they can get a guy with borrowed time down there to get the save, they should be able to get him out of the basement. But it is one of the more challenging things, as Nurse can just blink right down there, blink right up, pretty much ignoring walls too, as Nurse would say. And as you see, DB blinking down there immediately is going to get the smack on Ryan. Finger Guns going for the run. Will he proc the borrowed time there? Does proc the borrowed time, drops the pallet. I think he could have got a little more distance there if he didn't drop the pallet, but that might have just been a little bit of a panic move to drop that, thinking maybe he wasn't going to get stunned. And it does look like he is going to slug out Ryan and chase after Finger Guns, just trying to really force that kill. Incredible.
That was clean. Ryan is slugged in the basement. One of the generators that potentially make up the 3-gen around the basement just got completed by Nightlight and Dr. Rock. This is going to be Ryan exiting Dr. Rock on a generator, and Nightlight picking Ryan up in the basement. Nightlight, Ryan does have Deliverance. He has Decisive Strike and Borrowed Time, so he's a little bit of a raid boss when it comes to hooks. But unfortunately, potentially for Agony, it's Nightlight the target for DB going down now.
Yeah, this is pretty rough. If he can keep this up, he has a solid chance of winning. It does look kind of bad. He needs to get that hook in the basement, but he might have not felt comfortable. Nurse being the slowest killer in the game, sometimes it can be hard to get the survivors to the hooks you want. Does choose to toss him on a hook just in the middle of the field. And that was a little bit confusing because I believe he has the 3-gen all on that one side. So I'm confused as to why he was looking away from those generators.
He's got one here, one on the other side of the shack, and the 3rd generator and the 3-gen did get completed. And is now on the other side of the blimp. So this is essentially putting it as square bang in the middle of the 3 generators as possible to allow him the chance to blink anywhere and back to the hook if necessary.
That's why these guys are pros. This is why they're doing it. Obviously, I saw the 3-gen side by side. Agony noticed that there was a 3-gen set up there, pops one of those generators to kind of split it up, and now it'll be a lot harder for DB to watch those. Unfortunately, we can only see the generators when we are on the killer cam, so sometimes it can be a little bit confusing as to just really determine where those gens are.
Looks like Nightlight has potentially lost DB's vision as well. Just came, that was Dr. Rock running away. The hatch has been located by Agony and Team Kanepek equally. A bit of a run into the Nurse there. Get some distance for Dr. Rock. Dr. Rock previously playing on Felony, and Felony is considered one of the best Nurse teams in competitive. So you would have to assume that Dr. Rock would know how to deal with a Nurse effectively, and is definitely throwing some moves.
Nice little dead hard there to get the distance, avoid the swing. Dead hard, insanely effective versus Nurse. But DB says, you know what? I've been practicing Nurse for so long. Makes quick work of Dr. Rock after the dead hard comes out. The Nurse is actually able to run the recovery add-on, so it does allow her to recover fairly quick. So she can immediately be very aggressive there. But it does look like all the generators have been completed. How is Agony going to go about this? How is Agony going to get the door open while still trying to get all 3 of them out? It is looking pretty deep. Oh my... No! I spoke too soon! Commentator Kurz!
Ryan does have a Deliverance, so... And looks like Nightlight got the rescue, and Dr. Rock has Adrenaline as well. So Dr. Rock's full health. Ryan's recovering. Nightlight a little bit trouble. We'll have to try and keep distance. It looks like Dr. Rock's going to try and avoid being spotted. Open air this Dexter gate. DB now going to do a little bit of searching, but isn't going to find Dr. Rock immediately.
This is an incredibly close match. This could go any way. I mean, he still has the potential to work it.
He's completely bamboozled her. He's going to get this exit gate open now. This is definitely Dr. Rock being able to open that now. What they want to see is Nightlight make it across the map, and if anyone has to go down, it's Ryan, so he can use Deliverance into the hatch.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things on the doors there. He kind of was starting to prep the door, but didn't go too far, so the red light didn't come on. It actually doesn't kick on until about like 20 some odd %, usually around the E and escape. You can tell that. So as long as you don't fully trigger it, he might not even know that he was there. And these teams are kind of just stealthing around, trying to leave very minimal scratch marks. But it does look like he finds, oh my goodness, Nightlight with a nice pallet. That did look like the Dead Hard came out as well.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the Dead Hard came out. Yeah, Dead Hard did come out. Yeah, perfect.
Now Nightlight has to try and make his way through the silo to the exit gate, get a body block. He's setting up. He's setting up for a light burn. Is that possible? Oh, she's blinking. I don't think it is, but Dr. Rock is going to throw every trick in the book at DBT here to try and get his captain out alive. Nightlight running for his life is trying to avoid everything. That's going to be the blind potentially coming through, trying to get to the exit gate. Can Nightlight get out of this one alive is the question. A full blink swing and a hit comes through. Nightlight's on the floor. Dr. Rock has opened the exit gate and will be forced out of this map. And now it's Ryan to try and hook trade into a Deliverance play. That's the only play that Agony have left here if they are looking for a 3-man out.
I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm actually, you probably hearing me. My emotions are all over the place. Nightlight going to be going on his second hook. So in this situation, do you just take the lead and just get the points?
You sit on the hatch, I think. Yeah, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Sit on the hatch. Make sure that the nurse has to blink across the map to be able to prevent a hatch escape, which is not going to happen. Ryan will be able to exit into the next tryout, and that is going to be Agony with a 2-man out. Kanepek coming through with the 2K.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Just secure yourself the points. Nice 2-2. Honestly, very, very close. It was looking a little bit rough at the start there. They were being insanely quick on the generators right out the rip. But then it looked like TV started to get his footing and really just pushed on the pressure. That could have been anyone's game at the end.
See how those points all came about. Agony ending up with 4 points for 2-man escape, 10 points for completing all of the generators, a halftime score of 14, and Kanepek coming through with 6 individual hooks and 2 kills, making up for 8 points here on the board. That is a very close first half, and honestly, this matchup, a couple of urban evasions made sure that they had borrowed time on the correct people, and with the urban evasions and a little bit of issues getting a player loaded on into the lobby, but we are ready to go for game 2 of this matchup between Agony and Team Kanepek. 14-8 in favor of Agony and Finger Guns. Bringing the nurse to the table, a little bit of a difference in our build here. Opting in for a corrupt intervention, Rancor, Hex, no one escapes death, and pop goes the Weasel. Rancor, a huge favor of Finger Guns and Agony's team. They love that perk for its information every time a generator pops, and the fact that you can just Mori a survivor out at the end of the game.
Yeah, and that's probably what they're looking to do here, right? It was such an incredibly close match. If they have a build like this, they can kind of like have the aggression early on, and then if it does go south and the survivors do get all the generators complete, they're an absolute monster at the end game. Finger Guns already downing Trapper Main right off the gate of the game. But 2 generators about half and 1 about 15% there, so they are pumping through. It does look like I can't quite tell who 2 of the survivors are getting off, possibly to go for the save. It does look like that will be a smack onto Legion. Main Finger Guns doing really well with the blinks, honestly, for not having a heavily played nurse like their team captain Nightlight.
Yeah, I mean, clearly ready to go on this one, and it's an interesting build here. So you've got the Pop Goes the Weasel, which will allow you to control a 3-gen a little bit more effectively. You have No Ed, which will then make the survivors an insta-down. Once those generators have been completed, then Rancor also makes the Obsession an insta-down as well with the Mori. Points-wise, Hexy, a Rancor Mori only counts for 1 point for the death action, not the hooking action. So if you do find a survivor that has been hooked twice or is on death hook and they're your Obsession, then you probably actually don't want to Rancor them because you'll get a bonus point for that hook state.
Yeah, exactly. Already 2 hooks, though, off the gate. No generators completed. The nice thing is Team Kanepek will not have to deal with a rune in play. So if they do get off the generators a little bit here and there to try to avoid the aggression of the nurse, they won't just completely lose all that progression on the gens.
You see that Rancor snapshot aura?
Yeah, that is just so helpful. Every time a gen is completed, you get that tracking, and you also have the end game threat as well. I was always kind of curious because a lot of these teams aren't going with too many tracking perks, and they seem to go after the like 3-gen stacking and kind of patrolling out the 3 gens with the hook. Nice dead hard there. Really, really close. I think I might have got a haircut, to be honest.
But it Zondio here, who goes through the window with a bit of a medium vault, but Fingergun spots it out, and this is a basement hook. Under a pallet, doesn't seem there's anyone here. They're all separated. This shows the understanding coming out of Team Kanepek, and this is exactly what the teams are going to do. They're going to try and have a player play around a corner of the map that they do not want to do gens in. In this scenario, it's that shack corner with the 3 other teammates just separated around the map, tackling 3 gens because the killer can't contest them all at the same time.
Yeah, no, and because Nurse is one of the slowest killers in the game, she has to constantly be using her blinks. So she's using her blinks for mobility and then getting stunned there, and it gives the survivors a little bit of time to react. Now, once she's on you, as you see with Trapper Main getting smacked there, it's kind of a different story. Now you're bleeding, you're making noise, you're leaving scratch marks everywhere, blood on the ground. It makes it incredibly difficult to get away from her. Trapper Main trying to break LOS there on the tree. Does actually look like it works, and he's going to get the information off of Rancor again. What will he do?
That's just so powerful, like the situational information. That's crazy. Look, so, like the gen goes off. He looks back towards the shack. Oh, only one snapshot aura. That's the Zondio on the hook. I can now tackle one of these survivors and finds Legion Main immediately for an extra hook.
So it does look like they're letting him go into struggle phase. This is kind of risky. So you got 2 people in struggle phase already. Which is not looking very good. They really need to get saves here. All right, and it does look like DB is going to get the save onto Legion Main. Immediately back, borrowed time coming in. That's incredibly good for them. That's exactly what they needed. They also had the camaraderie proc, but they didn't end up taking advantage of that. I think that was probably the smart decision. Tries to get a blind. Unfortunately, doesn't quite work out for him.
Yeah, it's going to be a pickup. No decisive strike on Legion Main, and that will be the first kill of this game here between Agony and Team Kanepek. Fingerguns gets 2 on the board for that. It's a little bit of a surprise that they decided to go for Legion Main because of that camaraderie. They could have prioritized the unhook on Zondio whilst just running past the hill to activate the camaraderie for an extra 34 seconds of hook time, but instead opted in to rescue the Legion Main first. Maybe a bit of a miscommunication on the perks there from the survivors. It's now going to be DB in a chase.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well, is that then they got full points off of Legion Main, 4 points in total. DB going to go down for his first time there. And you can just see, when you know how to blink properly with Nurse, she is an absolute nightmare. An absolute nightmare. You feel almost helpless dealing with her if she's blinking properly. Your only real way to get away from her is to break LOS. But because she's running the recovery add-on, she recovers so quickly and just immediately can just be blinking right at you again. It's incredibly overwhelming sometimes. And it looks like the survivors of Team Kanepek are kind of struggling in this situation. 1 on hook, 1 on slug. Actually goes for the pickup. I'm not sure if I kind of agree with that, but at this point, it is going to be a point for them.
This pickup is actually really influential because I do believe that is death hook right there. Agony will go up to 23 points. And Team Kanepek will not have enough points available on the board to be able to win this match. I believe we could probably just call it here. Agony have successfully earned enough points on their killer side to choke out Team Kanepek.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's done now. GG's. GG's 100%. Trapper Main goes down. He is going to pick him up there, put him on the hook. No D-strike available, obviously. And that's, I mean, honestly, he can just kill here and win it, or he can try to go ahead and solidify the 4K by going and tracking down DB. DB's sprinting around the map, so scratch marks will be everywhere. He does actually go on the hill, but doesn't look like he catches that. Oh, nice. I don't know if that's going to be a big enough difference. Obviously, you can see Agony so far ahead. If you look at the points at the top of your screen there, if he gets the hatch, it'll only be a 2-point win. But, you know, better to keep the gap close than super far. A nice showing by Team Agony. Finger Guns doing incredibly well on the nurse.
That is an incredibly contested matchup here, our second of the day between Agony and Team Kanepek. Your winners in this matchup is going to be Agony, breaking out with 25 points in total to the 18 of Team Kanepek, and the nurse play from Finger Guns very clean.
Yeah, I feel like that could have been like one of his main killers. He performed insanely well. It didn't seem like the vision was too much of a deal with the corn. That's not the worst corn map to deal with. Just really, really solid blinks. He had that incredible blink on the window there early on in the match. And it just seemed like Team Kanepek was kind of focusing on the generators there. And unfortunately weren't able to keep up with the aggression of Team Agony.
And well, I'd love to jump over towards the bracket now and see exactly how this double elimination is starting to stack up here, Hexy, because already 3 teams have progressed over to round 2 in our winners bracket, with 3 teams dropping down to the losers bracket. And we already have our first round 2 matchup ready to be witnessed. It's Agony going to be taking on the Invincible Kittens after winning their first matchup here.
That is going to be a treat to watch. I cannot wait to watch that one, honestly. I'm curious as to what killers they're going to bring out. I feel like you'd be bringing out the spirits now. Both these teams are insane, so